Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, we got my main man, Alejandro. Welcome, brother. I wanted to have you on for some time now, really, because I know it might sound weird, but I enjoy your mind. Your mindset is really what drew me to you in the first place. You have a great mindset with dealing with difficult things, going through difficulty, and I just
Mm.
really enjoy that. I think today's podcast is really going to be about demolishing limiting beliefs and how entrepreneurs can take the next step in their business. So, welcome, brother. Thank you for coming on and giving me your time.
Thank you for having me, brother. This is amazing. It's nice to see you. You look good. See you doing great things as well. So I'm really excited to just hang out, bro. Hang out with you for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to just get right into it. For people that are watching and just don't know who you are, can you just give us a quick Cliff Notes version of your backstory of maybe what your life looked like 5 years ago and then where you're at today?
Sure. My name is Alejandro Alvarez. Born Dominican Republic, raised in St. Martin. Been in sales since I was 16. I think I came to the United States in 2009, I believe, and I was in Georgia. And I think I was around 14, 15 years old at that time. And then as soon as I turned 16, I got into sales. And I never really found out why sales till maybe a couple of years ago, and I just realized that my whole childhood consists of me traveling through multiple countries and different cultures. So I've always found a way to adapt to the different type of personalities I see around. So I always enjoy talking to people and enjoy just having conversation. So sales was something really easy for me. And the first job I had was actually selling Kirby's, selling vacuum door to door in the hot sun in Georgia. Didn't last very long because obviously I'm a kid and I want to go play games and do something else. But it was a really good experience. But for me, it wasn't scary at all. From that, I went to Texas, Dallas, Texas. I moved with my grandma because she recently lost her husband. And I love my grandma to death. She's been like my second mom. In fact, I call her mama, and I call my mom mommy, which is Spanish. My family are Dominicans. They're Latinos, and moved there to Dallas. And as soon as I got to Dallas, went right back to Georgia just because the culture was such a huge slap in the face for me. It was so different. I was like, what is this? This is like so behind in time. It wasn't tons of different cultures. It was just either white, black, Mexican. That's it here in Texas. And then in Georgia, you have Cubanos, Dominicans. So I felt like home. But then when I came back, I came to realize that, wait a minute, why did I just leave this spot when I can just have a fresh start? Because back home in Georgia, I was up to no good, really hanging out with like people in gangs and weren't doing any gang activities. I almost did, but just it never felt right for me. And went back to Texas. I think I was around 17 and I didn't have my license yet. But check this out. What's crazy is I managed to persuade one of the top hotel valet valet guys to let me work for them at the age of 17. And I'm not going to say their name for obvious reasons, but I was 17 years old, no license, but I've been driving since I was like 4 or 5 years old. My uncle's been teaching me to drive since I was 4 or 5. So it's like walking in the park, especially when it's automatic. I learned how to drive manual first. So automatic was nothing, but I persuaded him and he gave me the job. He didn't give me the opportunity to drive the nice cars, but it was a really, really, really one of the maybe top 5 hotels in Dallas, Texas. And that was kind of where I got to see the other side of the universe of what rich people look like. And I saw people wearing suits, Aston Martin, Lamborghinis, really nice cars. And I happened to ask someone, "What do you do for a living? What do I need to do to get an Aston Martin like you?" He was like, "Dude, real estate. Read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad,"
Mhm.
which is really big for a lot of people. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad probably created the most entrepreneurs in history. I don't know. I just feel it that
Yep.
way because every time I talk to someone in this new generation, it's like, yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad got me into this entrepreneurial stuff.
Yep.
And from there, man, I got into duct cleaning, which is like the air ducts in your home.
Yeah.
I saw I was getting paid maybe $2,000 a month I was a helper, and I was asking the guy that I was helping, like, how much do you make? He was like, well, it depends how good you are in sales. I'm like, sales? He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like 5,000, 6,000. A good month, a bad month, maybe 3,000. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah, I could probably do sales. So I got in there, and sure enough, I made the company the most money I've ever made, probably like 70 grand a month or something like that. I don't know. I was making really good money. And from there, I got introduced from a friend of mine named Francisco about the car dealership.
Mhm.
And he was just showing me like pay stubs, pay stub, 10 grand. It was another stepping stone, because of the duct cleaning. I was making maybe $3,000-$4,000 a month, and sometimes six, sometimes seven. But he was showing me 10, 15, 12,000. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. And I get to wear a suit. I don't have to
Mhm.
come home dirty, full of dust, mildew, all type of
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is great. So I joined the dealership. Sure enough, became top salesperson, maybe top three. I think top three nationwide for Nissan specifically at
Mm.
some point. And I was a top number one salesperson a couple of times, few times at Nissan in Mesquite, Texas. It's called Trophy Nissan. And that right there, when I joined Trophy Nissan, that's when I really got to experience how a business really work. Not because I was asking questions, but just more because I was paying attention to how every department works, how everyone is able, how is this finance department able to do six figures? How is this person able to do six figures? How is everyone making so much money? And at some point, I realized that because my family come from Dominican Republic, it's poor, really really poor. We never really have money at all, and I knew for a fact, just based off where I was, if I want to take care of my family, which has always been my main driven factor for me to achieve my goals, is just taking care of my family, is even if I made it to the top, even if I was a sales director, I'm going to
Mhm.
make max $300,000 a year. And I
Mhm.
believe that wasn't enough for me. So that's when I got into real estate. And real estate, that's when the pandemic hit. As soon as the pandemic hit, it was a scary jump for a lot of people. Obviously, right? Should I leave this job that's making me 10 grand, 15 grand a month, so I can
Mhm.
go start this not certain real estate journey? I mean, I don't know. Something told me to just do it, and I did. I jumped into it. My first deal was $300 or $1,000 in sales, and my second deal was $70,000 in sales. So it was just
Mhm.
crazy.
Mhm.
So anywhere, so obviously that's a trade. Like if I'm in sales, I'm gonna always push myself to become the top person in sales. Always, it's very competitive for me. I love sales. Always love sales, and I've always loved learning sales. Till this day, I study sales.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, man, I decided to just do it full time. I learned from a really good mentor at that time on how to wholesale, then got into learning creative deals, cash deals, how to buy real estate. And, here I am 4 years later. I'm still doing real estate. Definitely been tons of ups and downs, more downs and ups for sure, but the ups are definitely worth it if you manage to stay calm through the down times. So yeah.
100%.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
was too long, but apologies. Yeah, I just wanted to put it out there.
No, that's beautiful. No, that's good to paint the picture, give some people some backstory because our journey is different in life, all of us. But it's really cool to see the progression of Kirby vacuums
Yeah.
to real estate, and you could see the progression of your income going up as you started to sell things, assets
Mhm.
that where you could make either more commission or more profit off of.
Yeah.
And sales is great, but if you're really into sales, would you think the most important thing is to sell the thing that's gonna bring in the most money? Y
If that's a question for me?
Yeah, like, wouldn't you think, like, if you're wanting to make more money and you love sales,
Yeah.
and you're not so in love with the product, why wouldn't you just move up to sell the items that can make the most amount of money? And that seems like what you did. You made that transition to real estate,
Yeah.
which is the
Yeah.
biggest asset you could sell.
Yeah. And what's crazy, I'm now looking for the bigger thing, because I'm in a fortunate position where I'm rarely at my wholesale operations anymore. Excuse me. I'm only there
Mhm.
for meetings, sales training, because of course I can delegate sales training, but it's something I enjoy, I love. So it's not much of a hassle to me. Plus I do the
Yeah,
culture trainings, and just I love doing that, but I'm not actively on the phone. I don't remember the last time I called a seller,
yeah.
but it's good to be there. But now I'm looking for that one bigger thing. Maybe it's commercial. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be commercial real estate. It could be something else. It could be selling planes. I don't know. I'm just looking for that bigger thing. But I do have tons of like fire I'm currently working on that I must diffuse before I move on to my next journey, because I can't peacefully move on to my next journey when I have so much headache behind. If that makes sense.
Right. No, 100%. I think a lot of people, when they start a business, they think that it's going to be so much easier and better than my W 2. And
Oh my
that
god.
is not necessarily true, because a W 2 can almost be easier because you're told what to do. You're not responsible for the fires, the headaches. When you start
Yeah.
your own business,
You know
prepare
what's
for your
crazy?
hair to turn gray.
You know what's crazy? One of the first, I think maybe the biggest thing that people believe is when they start running their own business is that they don't have anyone else to tell them what to do anymore, and they can do what they quote unquote want.
Right.
Reality, that's true to a certain extent, but having that person tell you what to do is really important, especially if you're someone that lack discipline or quote unquote motivation, which I don't really consider a factor in my life. It's more of discipline. But that, oh, I get to do what I want, that makes you the worst freaking employee in your company, because now you're doing what you want. So if you have to make 100 phone calls to get to that $10,000 a month, right? To make 100 calls a day, but guess what? You do what you want. So maybe one day you do 20, maybe the next day you do 30. There's nobody to tell you, hey, you're effing up.
Right.
Here you are, not achieving your goals because you lack discipline and you lack that person telling you what to do. So before I say this because if I can go back, I wish I knew that. If you are thinking of starting your own company because you're tired of your boss bossing you around, telling you what to do, think about what I just said. Because once you have no one to hold you accountable, you're on your own. And 9 times out of 10, you will lack discipline and you will fail. And it will take a lot for you to continue pushing forward after you fail.
100%. And failure is not a bad thing.
Nope.
It's just we need to learn from them and correct those mistakes to move forward. And you're
Mhm.
right as far as the discipline. It's something that is not even taught. And this is what we raise our kids up with too, is like being disciplined, delayed gratification. That's a big one.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
eat your cake. At the same time, delay that gratification because it's going to be a much bigger payoff in the long run.
Yeah.
I want to go back to your mindset, because I really truly believe I believe that's where a lot of this starts, having that right mindset to be
Yeah.
a quote unquote successful entrepreneur. But it starts with your mind. What is like a common limiting belief entrepreneurs identify with that simply isn't true? Maybe it's like a stuck mindset.
I would say for me is that they can't become that multi-millionaire or multi-billionaire. It's just always some people always just, yeah, man, as long as I get $10,000 a month. Like you heard that though. I think we all want to make $10,000 a month. But it's just that, why $10,000 a month? Why not 20? Why not 30? Why not 40? Why not 50? Why not $100,000? And anytime I ask someone that question, there's always a big pushback like, oh yeah, dude, that's too much, maybe in the next lifetime. So I feel like if you want to make $10,000 a month, you have to make $100,000 a month. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you made a post on Instagram a while back, but it really resonated with me. It was, like something to extent where you give yourself a month, or what's stopping you from making like $300,000 this month.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that post? Refresh me. Like a lot of the comments and feedback was very like, I can't do that. Like, how is that possible?
Man, I've been detached from social media for so long, brother, for a good minute. I'm going through like the whole phase of no electronics. Can you refresh me on that post?
Yeah, you made a post.
See if I can get on it.
Basically, it was just a mindset thing, and it dealt a lot with the mind. You know, People just thinking that they weren't capable of achieving that what is considered crazy, like $300,000 this month. How can I do that? I barely make that in a year. It was
Yeah.
just a lot of backlash from comments, and it really dives deeper into what people's mindset usually is when it comes to money, that they're not good enough or they're not capable of hitting that number. And
Yeah.
that is not true. That is 100% not true. That is lies from the pit of hell. That you are capable. I think people just focus too much on more rather than becoming better. And that's what I've been really marinating on the last few months is like, not more of something, but better. Me
Mm,
being better. And then that's going to lead to whatever I'm chasing after, right? So I think that just a lot of people want the abundance without doing the work, without
yeah.
becoming a better person,
Yeah,
you know?
I had a friend of mine, Bo, that he saw the transition of myself when I was going from this guy that used to party a lot, drink tons of alcohol, just doing whatever he wants, to this guy that's super disciplined, reading books, exercising twice a day, being locked in the home, just focused. And what's crazy? At some point, he was like, "Man, I think you should see someone." He's like, thought like something I was going through some shit. I was like, "Dude, what? What? Why would you tell anyone that?" So it never struck me, like maybe a couple months later, that the perception, I guess, the perspective that he sees my life in is just something beyond his beliefs.
Right.
And you can't just get it. It wasn't like I wasn't upset, but I was just like shocked. Like, why would you say that? It was such a weird thing. But then he tried to mimic the same thing I was doing, because we hang out all the time. So eventually, birds of a feather flock together. He was like, dude, I mean, this guy's making more money now. He's focused. I don't see him stressed out anymore. Like, I need to try what he's doing. And he didn't tell me he was doing this, but at some point, like later on, maybe a year later, he was like, dude, I try to become like you, like who you are. And it was driving me crazy. I felt like I was turning crazy, so I couldn't do it. And I didn't tell him anything. I'm all like, that's cool. But I didn't like give him critiques on it. But I was in my head, I was like, that's exactly where most people fail, is or quit whenever they feel like they're going crazy. That's just that new phase, that new metaverse, I guess, for per se, for lack of better words, that your future self, your future successful self is trying to reach out and grab you, and you just feel uncomfortable because success is uncomfortable. You have to learn how to get uncomfortable. But I didn't tell him anything, because he was happy. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll continue being myself. And till this day, he was like, he don't tell me, but he tells me, like, when we have like a deep conversation, he was like, yeah, man, because of you, I do this, because of you, I do this, because of you, I do this, because of you, I do this now. And I'm not saying that to make it sound like he's looking up to me in a certain way. It's just like certain qualities that I have motivates him enough for him to implement it into his own life, and it does bring him benefits.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but that crazy moment, uh, Bo, is where a lot of people go back to their old life, because it's easier to say yes to your old life compared to your new self. Because think about it. If you want to become a new version of yourself, you're fighting, let's say you're 20 years old, you're fighting a 20 years old version of you
Yeah.
versus this new couple of months new
Right.
version. Of
Yeah.
course, your older version is more likely to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
That's why you have to continue pushing forward, but 99% of people don't.
I mean, the common phrase, "we're creatures of habit," and your brain is a muscle.
Yeah.
There's neuroplasticity in there that keeps in that habit. And some of them aren't good habits. So it takes a breakthrough, a revelation to break out of that, and it's hard,
Yeah. It's really
especially
hard.
for entrepreneurs coming from a 9 to 5, a W-2 to this. You're like, what? SOPs, scheduling, what do I do? So it's
Yeah.
tough, but your better version of yourself is on the other side. And my favorite quote from Jim Rohn is, to want a better life, you got to become a better person.
Yeah.
You
One
got
of
to get better.
yeah, that's actually my um
Nice.
email signature. It says,
Yeah.
"Don't wish life was easier, wish you were better."
Yeah.
I heard that maybe during the pandemic, and that was such a strong quote. Maybe actually before, because Jim Rohn was guy I listen to on the way to the dealership all the time. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's so
Yep.
like such a unique persona he had.
Yep.
So I would definitely related to that guy. And
Yeah.
shout out to him. You know,
Shout out.
what's his name? Tony Robinson's. He was
Mhm.
a mentee.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I consider Jim Rohn as one of the goats in the personal development space.
Yeah.
It's funny, yeah, just like there's things that you'll listen from Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, and those things that stick out to you have a lot to do with what you were born to do, and having that sense of meaning and really relating to that. That's what it stuck with me. I've been on this personal development path for since really we've been having kids. We had our first kid at 8 years ago, and that really wasn't being better for myself, but I needed to be the best version for other people around me because they deserve the best version of me. And trust me, you wouldn't have want to been around me 8 years ago.
Really?
God was saving people from me. Go no, you know.
Man.
So I needed to work on that journey. It's just a lifelong process, but um, there's a big thing going on. I mean, just in the entrepreneur space of burnout. Like, how do you avoid burnout as an entrepreneur? Like, what keeps you going? There's ups and downs.
How do I personally avoid burnout?
Yeah. Like, maybe is there
By
something you do
Yeah,
even too?
the easiest way I can explain this to you is by redefining what burnout is, or redefining what that feeling is of wanting to stop from moving forward. It
Yeah.
helps a lot because us humans, we tend to emotionally react to things that we have certain definitions for. Like, for example, if a family pass away, that is a very sad moment. So in that moment, you're just wired to just be sad. Unless you're just someone else, right? You don't have to be sad to show that you love the person. It could be something else, but it's just how you define certain things, man.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling burnt out, I define it personally. I define it as a new stepping stone in my life that I'm supposed to go through to get to the next level, and it just helps me keep going.
Okay.
That's how I personally do it. So like, if like, man, I'm so overwhelmed with this. Man, I messed up here. I guess maybe this is not for me. All these voices is like, and it was what's crazy. Whenever I do hear a voice like, "Hey, maybe this is not for me," I kind of smirk a little bit, and I'm just like, "Nice try. This is actually is for me. I'm going to keep going." So it's like that inner conversation I have with the old self and the new version, trying to connect with each other, trying to win each other over. So just redefining it, man. That's really it. If you feel burnout, hey, just expect to feel that, and expect that this is the new version of you trying to reach out to you, and just accept it. Just keep going. Go through it. See what
Yeah.
happens. There's something better in the other side.
Changing your mind about what you
Yeah.
think about that
Yeah,
experience.
just think of it logically. What
Yeah.
happens if you keep moving forward on something that's going to bring you success? Well, you're going
Yeah.
to get closer to success. What happens if you stop? You're going to go back.
Right.
Broke.
Right.
Who wants to be broke? Nobody, especially now.
Yeah. And nothing worse than being broke, dumb, and sick. That's what Jim Rohn said. The famous quote from him. But yeah, nothing worse. No one wants to be in that place. And if you are in that place right now, you have the ability to get out of that place. But it starts with your mind. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in your mind follows your thoughts. So
Yeah.
whatever you choose to think about, you'll find your life following in that area. Also, too, has a lot to do with who you hang around with, who you talk to on a daily basis. And I'm always a big believer in being around people that lift you up and challenge you to become better,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's amazing because, yeah, changing that burnout perspective, a lot of people seem to go through that. It's just changing your mind about what you think.
Yeah. It's
So,
it's even I have this big belief, Bo, that being broke is a sin. Well, it's in the Bible. It's being broke is just being a sin, being able not to provide for your family. But I sat down there just to really think about that statement, and majority of bad things that happen is due to lack of resources, lack of funds, lack of money. If you're broke, you start to get depressed. If you start to get depressed, you stop going to the gym. You stop going to the gym, you eat like shit. You eat like shit, your mind feels like shit. You feel like shit, and you'll always stay like shit. And worse things can happen. Now you're arguing, now you're angry. Now when you talk to your wife, you're talking back with so much anger with built in within you. But if you have money, now you have access to some type of freedom. You have access to resources. You have access to certain things that can bring happiness to certain people, even if it's temporary. That temporary it's a memory that's going to stick within your subconscious mind as a happy moment. So the more happy moments you have in your subconscious mind, the more happiness comes out of you. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying that if you're rich, you can't be sad or be depressed. It is very possible,
Yeah.
but I can assure you that it's more likely to happen if you don't have any money.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a tipping point to that, and
Yeah,
yeah, when you said resources, I think people think they need to have a ton to start, or especially as an entrepreneur getting going in business. And I'm always been the thought process of not about your resources, but your resourcefulness. What do
yeah,
you have right now that you could use that you aren't?
yeah.
And then looking to build upon that, whether in your business or personal life. So, talking about like habits, can you break down some of your habits that you've put into place to create this successful real estate business? Is there something you could point to in particular, whether maybe it's your diet, sleeping habits, you're a avid reader? What is the habit that you could call upon that's like, yeah, without that, I wouldn't be here today?
A Live Heart program for sure.
Yeah.
Live Heart program, and I didn't make it. It's free. It was created by Andy Frisella,
Yeah.
and he created this boot camp 75 hard, and within that 75 hard, there's a lifestyle behind it, which is called the Live Hard program. 75 hard, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Without it, I would not be where I'm at today, for
Mhm.
sure. And when I first started, I was very much alone. At that point, I broke up with my girl at the time. She was had to split up, wasn't working out. And I was just by myself. And then my friend thought that I was going crazy, that I need to talk to someone. So the only person that was helping me understand that what I'm going through is actually normal and necessary to achieve the next level was Andy Frisella and his podcast. That was
Mhm.
the only helpful thing at the time, and so I decided to do the 75 hard, which was introduced by me by my barber. So shout out to CJ. And once I started doing that, dude, I explained this to my colleagues and my friends that at some point, when I think when maybe phase 1 or something like that, I felt like I can breathe better. I felt like the air was fresher. I felt like the the green was just greener. I felt like I just burst through a dark bubble and I was able to see this new world with more opportunities and more peace. And it sounds crazy, but that's the only way I can explain what I felt at that time. That was when I felt like, whoa, my new version is starting to take over. And this feels freaking great.
I love that. How many times have you done that program?
Since the pandemic started. So 4 years
Did you
consistently.
just
Yeah,
keep repeating it? Yeah.
yeah, this is the longest. This is the longest break I've taken. I think I probably took I'm in a month in of the break or not doing 75 hard. I am still
Mhm.
working out consistently every day, but I'm
Mhm.
not doing certain things that I'm supposed like you're supposed to do in 75 hard. That was the longest break. Before that, it was like 2 days,
Yeah.
but still no alcohol. That for sure. I haven't doing the 75 hard allowed me to completely quit alcohol.
Mhm.
Not tempted by it. And I used to love drinking scotch, love drinking whiskey. It was one of the best things I used to do when I made a big sale at the dealership. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna
Mhm.
go buy me $100 scotch bottle and enjoy it at home. And don't even miss it, man.
Yeah.
At all.
It's a great way to shape your character, you know,
Yeah.
and set you up for bigger things.
Yeah.
I really truly believe because you're I think what you're 30 years old or
Yeah.
35,
I'm
30.
30 now. Yeah.
There's so much left inside you, and if we think that oh we're there's no time, I'm 40, I can't do this. There's so much left inside each and one of us to do great things, and it all starts with refining your character.
Yeah.
That's the power that's going to keep you going. And we see a lack of character in today's leadership and all around the world, but your true power is contained in the character, and your character is kind of who you are when no one's watching.
Hmm.
That's why there's the big thing on YouTube where it's like, yeah, I met the person in real life, but they weren't anything like that. You don't want to put on an act because that's very exhausting. you,
Very
you want to be
exhausting.
authentic, you want to be yourself, you want to be genuine. And it all starts with your character, you know? So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. 75 hard. If you guys have done that, comment down below. I've looked at it. It looks amazing, you know. But yeah, so so we talked about habits. I want to go now into your belief system. How has it impacted your personal life and your business? And how does that belief system impact your day to day? What do you believe?
Now, are you asking religious wise or just business
No,
wise?
just like what is your belief is overall purpose? What do you think you're here to do? What's your
My
big picture
Yeah,
goal and
man,
vision?
my
Yeah.
personal belief is that I am the sacrificial lamb of the family.
Mhm.
I personally believe here that, and this may sound sad, but I'm okay with it. And for some people, some other people will understand. Very, very, very small amount of people will understand this. I'm not here to so much quote unquote enjoy life with freedom. I'm here to go through a lot of hardship so that my family around me can enjoy the happiness of the results that I've created. And I'm okay with that because that's my happiness. That's the only thing really that I can think of that can bring me true happiness. And I also look at Alex Hermosi. He does this fuck happiness. And can I curse here? I'm so sorry. I didn't ask. That's
It's
cool.
fine.
Okay. And
You're
F,
fine.
sadness, whatever. No happiness, no sadness, which is really great. This is actually something I implemented since last year because there's certain emotions, man, that can change you in such a weird way that it will distract you from your real purpose. So I say F happiness. I'm a very like just mono guy, just relaxed, always whether we just made $200,000 or whether I'm getting a lawsuit, is still this face.
Yeah.
Inside there's emotions going around, but my reactions is still the same, which eventually will shut off that current emotion and you just focus on the logical solution of what's going on or whatever, at that point. So for me, my belief is that I'm here to be that sacrificial lamb, and I'm going to go through the hardship. I'm the guy that's going to get lawsuit. I'm the guy that's going to fall off. I'm the guy that's they're going to talk bad, but at some point they're going to talk great of because that's just how it is, and I'm okay with that because hey, we're all going to die at some point, man. So if I'm going to die, the last thing I want to do is be in my hospital bed dying and saying I didn't do enough. That's the thing I don't want to say. So for me, it's just I'm going to continue pushing forward. No matter all the bad stuff that goes through my life or the great stuff that goes through my life, I'm just going to continue pushing forward. So that's my personal belief, and that's my belief of the purpose I have here on this planet.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And reading somewhere, I had read, the people who went on to do great things in the world, the first thing was they had like a sense of meaning. They were out to accomplish something big on the earth.
Hmm.
And whether it was easy or difficult, that was the first step in that direction, is that I have a purpose and there's something I need to do and accomplish here on the earth. And if I don't do it, I'm almost stealing from future generations. The
Exactly.
next generation is supposed to benefit from what you were sent here to do and accomplish.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I see my kids. I see, thinking grandkids, generations down the road. I need to be
Yeah.
the best version of myself to be able to set them up. Not
Yeah.
just them, but the entire community, the people that I'm, in relationship with. And don't take the easy way out. And I want to know, you do a lot of difficult things. What is the value in doing difficult things?
Wisdom.
Okay.
Wisdom. And to answer your question, Bo, how does it affect my life? I personally live like there's no tomorrow every single day. And trust me, a lot of people don't agree with it, but I can assure you it makes me feel great because once you go to bed, bro, like there's people that go to bed and they don't wake up the next day. They could be the healthiest freaking person,
Yeah.
they just don't wake up. Things like that happen. So why waste your day thinking that you have 20 years ahead of you? Even though I still do, this is the thing I go by: hope for the best, but expect the worst. I have
Mhm.
that mindset. So I'm always going to expect the worst. Okay, great. If I'm going to die tomorrow, I want to make sure that if I end up being in a hospital bed because I'm going to die, I want to make sure I tell myself I did enough. I did the best I can. And I want to make
Yeah.
sure I leave something with my family.
Yeah.
So that's how it affected me. And that's what kept me disciplined. There's no motivation because it doesn't matter. Anybody you ask, bro, if you knew you were going to die tomorrow, how how would you react today? Would it be exactly how are you doing
Yep.
it today? And majority of the time is no. I would do this, I would do that, I would do this, I would do this, I would work extra hard, I would make sure I hug my family, I make sure I spend some time with them, make sure I'm going to leave them something. Then why not do it today? Why not
Right.
do it today?
Right.
Why not?
I love that. Last time I checked, 10 out of 10 people die. So, yeah, if you can figure out you're going to come to peace with you are going to pass away sometime.
Mhm.
Let's just put that time clock. That's called the Parkinson's law. It's a law that states if you say you're going to clean your house in 30 days, it's going to take 30 days. But if you say it's going to take one day, it's going to take one day. So putting a
Parkinson's
time
law.
frame,
So
Parkinson's law. Yeah, I love principles. So when I read that, I was like, wow, no wonder I was such a bad procrastinator. So giving yourself a good amount of time was another Jim Rohn quote, but a reasonable amount of progress in a reasonable amount of time. That's why we need to give ourselves the grace and put that time frame on completing that goal and task, and don't drag it out more than it needs to be.
yeah,
Um,
even a quote by Jim Rohn too. I don't word me word for word, but I think he said, "How can you how do you expect to change your life if you don't change?" Which is
right.
such a simple statement, but
Yeah.
dude, it makes so much sense. Like if you're doing the same thing over and over and you're broke, how can you be so frustrated that change hasn't happened if you haven't changed within yourself?
I think people are stuck and living in the Einstein quote of the definition of insanity of thinking things will be different and you're doing the same thing.
That's
It
insane.
just doesn't work that way.
No,
In my experience, it don't work.
no.
You know, like for example, my house had to burn down and my job had to go under for me to be here where I am at now.
Mm,
So things needed to change, and sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's bad things. But
yeah.
if change ain't happening, then you're going to be a victim of change. So why not initiate the change that you want to see in the world so you're not a victim? Because
Mm,
the world's in the greatest state of change ever in existence in real estate, on eBay, and reselling and entrepreneurship. So why not initiate your future today and live like you're going to live your last?
that's it,
I don't
bro.
want to die on my deathbed knowing, oh, I should have done that thing. I
Yeah.
failed the next generation.
Yep.
They said the biggest regret in life, they did a study on it, that people, their top 5 regrets on their deathbed, one of them was not doing what they were told or felt that they should do, and they didn't. I really believe the cure for cancer is hiding in the cemetery. The greatest song ever written is hiding in the cemetery. The greatest book yet to have been written is dead in the cemetery. It
Yeah.
was dreams and treasure yet to come and be manifested,
Yeah.
whether out of fear or whatever. Don't be like that. Die empty. I know that
Mm.
we went off on that, but I'm really passionate about potential and purpose. And that's the whole point of kind of this podcast is bringing Alejandro on here to bring in his mindset on how he's built this six-figure business and to be able to help you guys get and break away from limiting beliefs. Those limiting beliefs can be like a cancer holding you back from the greatest version of yourself. Don't do it for you. Do it for your kids' kids. So, I know that you didn't do it all alone. You had mentors. How important is it for you to have a mentor and be surrounded by people who have high ambitions? How has that helped you?
I think it's very, very, very important. And if not the most important thing of being able, let me step back really quick. The most important thing as far as for you to surpass your limited beliefs is to have someone that surpasses your limited beliefs around you, like a mentor. If you say you're going to make $10,000 a month and all your friends are making $5,000 a month, you might not get to $10,000 a month. You might stick to $5,000 a month, or maybe even 6,000, just to tell them, "Hey, I make more money than you." I don't know. But if you hang out with someone that's making $100,000 a month, and you're thinking $10,000 a month, eventually you're going to think about, well, hold on, how do I get to 20? How do I get to 30? Man, this is a really great mentor. Can I get to 100 like him? If he can do it, the next thing you know, what's crazy is you start talking to this mentor that are making 100 times more money than you are, and you realize they're not perfect. They make mistakes. They still apologize. They go through the same shit that you go through every single day. They just are in a better boat system, and they have a better belief system than you do because they had someone else to show them as well. So it's very, very important, especially if you're stuck at this phase right here and you want to get here. Go get the mentor that's here, because if all your friends are below you, then you're in the wrong crowd, and it's okay. One of the things that I struggle with was, if I'm going, I want to take my friends with me, and that was the biggest mistake I could have done, because and it could be a little bit different for everyone else, right? Because when I'm speaking, Bo, I'm thinking of the comments. Oh yeah, but I took my friend with me, and we made $20,000 together. So let me just put it out there. Most times, when you have a friend here that enjoys his life the way he is, but you want to make $100,000 because you're in disgust with your current life, then that person is going to drag you back. It's going to be a super, super heavy weight on your back, and
Mhm.
it's going to always bring you back. Think about it. If 95% of who you are is based off your life experience and who you surround yourself with, this is actually true. How do you expect to get to $100,000 when your friend is okay making $5,000 a month, and that's all
Mhm.
he's talking about? He's having $5,000 a month people problem every single every single month, but the $100,000 a month, they have bigger problems. So you have to be able to understand the frequency, the energy, the beliefs, the steps, and everything else. So it's really important for you to have that mentor. And
Yeah.
I think I'm very unique because I watched a lot of podcasts and YouTube, like a lot of gurus like Grant Cardone, Alex Hormozy, Pace Morby, just big gurus, man. And I actually absorb the information they give me and I implement it.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is a lot of the things that, like, if you really stick to Alex Hormozy, watching him for a month, and you
Mhm.
implement the stuff that he's teaching you,
Yeah.
you will make tons of money. I swear
Yeah.
to you. But 99% of people don't implement it because they lack
No.
that belief system.
Yeah.
So that why sometimes it's important for you to physically be face to face with that mentor that's going to hold your hand and show you that it is possible for you to make $100,000 a month or to achieve your goals.
Right, right. And that's perfect tease up for the next question is, there's masterminds all left and right. What do you think is the difference between people who join these masterminds? There are people who crush it, they take the advice, they run with it, and then there's people who fail to make progress even though they're getting the same information. What do you think the difference is?
I think the difference is some people are at their complete bottom. What's the
Mm,
word I'm looking for?
yeah.
Bottom what? I can't.
Rock bottom, like
Rock bottom. Rock
they
bottom.
can't go any
Yeah.
further down,
They're cornered. They're in a
Yeah.
corner. And there's other people, like, for example, they could be a guy that's making freaking $50,000 a month, and he
Yeah.
wants to make $1 million a month or something crazy, but it's so hard to be uncomfortable making $50,000 a month. What point, what at that point, like, what's pissing you off when you're making 50 grand a month? So for you to go back and be like, oh yeah, I want to make $1 million a month, when 50 grand a month, it's currently enough, at least for you in your certain situation, unless you have like this, hey man, I need $1 million where I'm going to hold your family for ransom type of situation. And that's different. Now you're cornered. Now, shit, I have to make $1 million. I have to figure this out. So the consequences of you not achieving your goals must be higher than you not achieving it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It must be higher. That's the only difference I can see, Bo, because someone that pays $20,000 for this mentorship, that could have been their last dollar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, I have no choice but to make it back. But they could be that person that $20,000 is like 20 cents to them. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Right.
They go in there, hang out, get some cranberry juice and be like, yeah, this is cool. This mentor is actually really cool. Go back home and, like, I learned tons of stuff, and I'm gonna go back to the same life. They have no consequences for the lack of action they take.
Yeah. Yeah, there's great value in community and going to the meetups and all that, but at the same time, the very thing that you paid the money for is the unlock to your future. Like, the meetups are great, but you'll find the people have been in the mentorship for 5 years and they haven't even done a deal yet, or they haven't even made a sale yet, or
I've
they haven't
seen
even applied
those.
any of the principles. And it's like,
I've
I
seen
see you
those.
at every single meetup or in every single Zoom call, and you're doing great. You're here, but you haven't even made a cold call. Wow,
That's that's what I never understand,
crazy.
dude. I've seen those people multiple times. Every time that they're at the meetup and they do like, what's your biggest hurdle? It's always the same hurdle.
Yeah.
I haven't done my first deal, or I can't I can't push myself to this, or my spouse is not on board. It's the same shit. So like,
Mhm.
what are you showing up for? And what they're looking for is validation for someone to tell them it's okay to be where you are. And it never happens. And they just keep seeking that extra push, and the necessary resources to implement what they need. But implementation is dependent on you yourself. It doesn't depend on anybody else. Now, there's great mentors like Pace Morby again. He
Mhm.
will implement it
Mhm.
for you to go out there and kill it. Now you're in a position where you have no choice but to continue working within the implementation you have currently um, have around you when your mentor does it for you. And I think
Yeah.
I was in that position at some point where I was in a position where my mentor has implemented this certain thing where now I have no choice but to show up. And that's what you call a great mentor. Some mentor will tell you what to do. Some mentor will hold your hand and take your head and put it to the water. You know, what is the whole saying? You can't make a horse. You can take a horse to the river, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
there's some mentor, and I only know one that will make you forcefully drink
Yeah.
that water, and
Yeah.
you'll be forced to take action. He'll throw
Yeah.
you in the middle of the ocean. You will have to swim out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So, and it really resonates kind of with when we just had lost the house in the fire. That was kind of the, hey, you lost it all. Now you have nothing to lose. So I did get into real estate for a short time, then started this eBay business, and I just really had been actually committed to something that was difficult and hard, and I actually just put in the work to do it because I
Yeah,
had nothing to lose. But I wasn't going to go back working at Taco Bell. I never worked at Taco Bell. I just use that for example. I wasn't going to go back working for someone else because I knew that I had to go through something difficult to actually be able to run my own business and do it.
yeah,
But if I didn't go through that, losing the house and getting fired from the job, I would still be the same. I wouldn't even be here. I'd still be in comfort land, getting the
yeah.
$3,000 to $5,000 a month. Oh, this is great because I hung out with people who also thought that was great.
Wait a
But
minute.
then
Taco Bell pays $5,000 a month.
probably here in Oregon.
Holy crap!
Yeah, probably
Hey
here in
man,
Oregon.
that should probably be the
$27 an
next.
hour.
That should probably be the next step for the people that just can't get their first cold call, dude.
Yeah.
Taco Bell's paying $5,000 a month.
Yeah. Free
That's
tacos.
decent income. That's a
Yeah.
decent income.
Yeah. What so kind of a side note, you're a big reader. Maybe if someone's going through something right now, is there maybe a book that maybe you're reading now or a book you could recommend that someone can read and maybe help them get their mind unstuck?
Man, there's so many books, bro. If you could see like behind me, that all that stuff,
Mhm.
that's like a fraction of the books.
Mhm.
I've been reading so many books, but off the top would be The Go Giver for sure.
Mhm.
That's a great book to read, and that's by what's his name?
Joe
Let me check out.
Bob
Yeah,
Bob something.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one.
Bob Berg, yeah. Bob
Yeah,
Berg, you're
Bob
watching this in
Berg.
the future. I'm so sorry. I've
Yeah,
been like I haven't read some of his book like in over a year,
that's a
so I
good one.
apologize. He follows me on Instagram, so if you make a post and he's like, "Wait a minute," so Bob
Bob
Berg,
Berg.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a great book.
and
That's
I
a
read
really good
all of
one.
them. There's like a
Mhm.
few different parts of it. This is
Mhm.
one of the parts. There's like
Okay.
yeah, one red, green,
Okay. Huh.
purple. Yeah, so I read all of them. Those are great books to read. And this the five laws of stratospheric success,
Mhm.
the law of influence, the law of authenticity, the law of what is it, value. Your value is
Mhm.
determined by how much you give, then take in payments, and somewhere like that.
Mhm.
But there's
Mhm.
tons of great stuff in there. And then you have this book I'm currently reading, which is The Art of War. It's Pretty
Mhm.
good book. Very easy read too.
Mhm.
And another book would be The 48 Laws of Power.
By, Green,
Yeah,
George
Robert Greene. Yeah.
Robert Greene. Yeah, great quote from Sun Tzu in The Art of War. It says, what is it? The battle is won before it's even fought, and that has to do a lot with preparation,
Oh yeah.
and I love that quote. That's the only one I can remember from it, but it stuck with me. I'm a big planner, try to plan as best as I can, but yeah, so books, when I started reading, is really what changed my life and changed my thinking. I was the same person for 27 years, and it wasn't until I started reading is when things started changing. So I don't know if you've been a lifelong reader, but how much has reading played an impact in who you are today? Like, it's kind of a
Honestly,
lost art.
I
I
always
just
hated reading books, bro, since high school times. If it didn't have pictures, I'm out, and I guess I just
Mhm.
never matured in that way. Anytime I see a book with just nothing but words, I'm like, ugh, that's disgusting. But
Hmm.
once I started getting into reading books, I realized how dumb I was, respectfully. Like I was really dumb. Like I didn't know anything about life. I didn't know how life works. I didn't know how finances work. There was the more and I started gaining this dopamine, like, oh my God, I just learned this thing. Let me go ask my friend if they knew about this. And they don't. And then when they ask me, what is it? The dopamine of being able to explain and watch somebody's brain just blow, like, wait, what did you get this information from? Well, I just read this book.
Same books
And
you ain't reading.
yeah, the same book you're not reading. So stuff like that, man. And then once you implement it, like read, especially for business book. Anytime I read a business book, I definitely implement at least a good number of the things in there. 30% of it at the time, then come back because there's some things that's going to teach you that you're just not ready for. And when you implement the smaller things, you'll be ready for the bigger things in the book. So it's always good to go back and read those books.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's big difference between reading and then reading and applying. But
Yeah.
it's funny. We have books about leadership. We have books about success, about making more money, about creating better habits, and people want those things, and yet don't read those books. When I first started wanting to get better as a person, I wanted to make more money. The first thing I read was The Automatic Millionaire by
Mm.
David Bach, and it showed me how to manage. I didn't have a ton of money at the time, but it showed me how to manage the little money that I did, and therefore we started making more money. And I just find it pretty crazy that people want success, they want to be a better leader, they want to be a better father, they want to be a better person, and we have books outlining how to do this, and people don't read them because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
busy at work.
Nor they teach you at school. It's crazy.
They don't want you to learn that at school. So that is crazy, and it's really cool because that resonates with me. Personal development is the key. That is your gym. That is your workout. And it's hard. It's difficult. Working on your mind every day is difficult. It's no one's ever perfect at it, but it just takes working on your mind every day to just get better. And
Hmm.
that's where I see a lot of people struggling today. It's not because of reselling or picking up the right items to resell. I can't find the right items. I don't live by a great thrift store. It's actually just your mindset. If you fix the mindset, everything else is going to change. Especially when it comes to reselling. But this kind of goes into my next question on saturation. I
Yeah.
get a lot of people that say this is too saturated. What is your thoughts on people who have that mindset? And like, is that just an excuse for not trying? Because you could say real estate's saturated. Should I just
Um,
not try?
that's an excuse to accept the lack of beliefs you have. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I can say on that. Like, if it's too saturated, well, you're just too broke to understand, and I mean that respectfully. You're just too broke to understand.
Yeah.
You have to go see what the bigger people are doing, and once you understand what they're doing, you can see that 99% of the other people in the industry are not doing. There's very a small amount of people in the top 1%, and they're there because they're doing something that the other 99% are not doing.
Right.
But if you're saying, oh, it's oversaturated, and you're doing what 99% of people are doing, of course it's oversaturated because
Right.
y'all
Right.
there's too many people in the same boat with the same beliefs.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. That is cool. And those people in the 1%, there's something they're doing that you can do. You just need to find out what they're doing and do that thing.
Yeah.
So Speaking to someone who's maybe just getting started as a reseller entrepreneur in real estate, what would you say the first thing they should do operationally? What is the thing that's actually going to propel them into making progress? Is that a schedule? Is that a SOP? What should they do on day one when they're just like they quit their job and they're just starting?
Now, when you say operationally, do you mean like within the business or like
Yeah,
mentally?
like what's a process they should put into place? I find
Honestly,
for me like it's schedule, but maybe you have something different.
honestly, man, maybe I'm answering the question incorrectly, but I think the first thing you should do is prioritize your health. I think that's the
Mhm.
first thing you can do because it does reflect on how your business run.
Yeah,
It does reflect. It's just prioritize your health.
yeah.
Go to the gym, start reading books, exercise your brain, meditate, just prioritize it. It never fails, bro. It never fails. I've had this guy that I work with. He was a really great guy, but he always cheated on his lady, and they have kids at home. And but I'm like, man, but he's such a great guy. He has, he's doing well in his business. And then I started hanging out with him more and more and more, and came to find out there was a lot of insecurity behind the scenes as far as like he think this employee is stealing from him, this employee is lying on him, and there's times that he just forget things. There's times that, like, I'll give you like a quick example. If you have guys working for you, Bo, and there's leads coming into your business, would you take that lead for yourself just because it came to you, or would you give it to the guy that's working for you? What would you do?
Option 1.
Think. Okay, think. Let me redefine that question. Let's say you have a guy hasn't made money. He's working for you. It's been a couple of months, and the reason why is because you haven't equipped him with the right resources to win.
Right.
But then you have a lead that comes to you. You can easily close and make money and not pay the guy, or you can give it to him slash close it for him and help him. Which one would you rather pick?
Well, if I was the business owner, I would try to get the employee person working for me better. So the only way to get better is having him work the lead together.
Yeah, but this
Because
person
if
would
I
be
close it, it doesn't do anyone any good.
yeah, this person would be the type of guy that will take the lead for himself and don't pay anybody else when they're struggling to win. I've never been that type.
Yeah.
Like it's really rare when well, it was only when me and my partner was working and we had one employee. It was really rare when we make money and the employees don't make money. But now
Yeah.
now my employees are in the situations where if I ever make money, I'm always going to give it to somebody because they've been showing love. They've been committed to the company. So if I have a easy $20,000 deal coming in, like for example, you've sent me leads before. I could have just
Mhm.
took it, closed it, and make money and just split it with my partner.
Mhm.
Instead, what did I do, Bo? Hey, Joe, call this lead. It's
Yeah.
Bo already talked to it. They're ready to sign a contract. Just call him and sign it and lock it up.
Mhm.
I want to see everyone around me win. Again, that's one of the values from the go giver. Your
Mhm.
value is determined by how much you give than taking payment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always about giving, 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 giving. And if you live that lifestyle, man, the return on that is massive. Like spiritually, financially, like everything is just it's pure beautiness. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's all
It's
beautiful.
counterculture too to what
Yeah.
we're raised, in today's society. We're taught to hoard. That's why we have storage unit facilities popping up like crazy,
Yeah.
paying for a couch I bought from J.C. Penney's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 100% reframing your mind is going to lead you to your next best version of yourself. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with you. I want to get into
Of
this
course,
last
brother.
question and let you go because I know you are busy and don't want to take up your whole day. But I want to fast forward to just the future version of yourself, big picture stuff. Where do you see yourself maybe in 10, 20 years? Like what's the overall big picture in your life? What do you believe that you feel called to do, to accomplish? And then how does that help you stay motivated through
Yeah, in 10, 20,
stress?
10, 20 years from now, I see myself owning multiple companies that provide resources for other people, employees that are looking for jobs. And I'm going to be starting a foundation to raise money for those in needs, because I did get a taste of that at some point, right? I grew up in a very, very poor country at some point. At least my part of the family is really poor. But when I started making money, giving back to the people that need is the best feeling you can have, at least for me personally,
Mhm.
because I know what it feels like to be stuck in a world where you have no direction to surpass this dark bubble. So for me to just reach out and here's this, just to take them out of that bubble for a few minutes, maybe even a decade, maybe a long time, by teaching them the certain things,
Yeah.
it's the best thing, man. I give back to people that need school supplies. I've give back to people that need maybe a ride to work, like just giving back, man. So in 10, 15 years, I see myself continuing doing so, watching that foundation grow, and just, well, charity, right? I think it's a charity. Is it charity or foundation? I think,
Yeah, yeah, and, like, just overall philanthropy, being a
yeah,
philanthropist and
just
just
having a place where I can give back to people,
yeah.
and having jobs that can provide jobs, having jobs like business that can provide jobs, and also having two big homes next to each other, family and my family. I do believe that a household with a family that's
Mhm,
family orientated, it's a much stronger unit. I
mhm,
don't believe in that whole just me, my wife, and kids, and then your family lives in a whole different country. I think that's
mm.
fine, but for me personally, I much rather be with my mom. Because if
Yeah,
my mom raised me for 18 years, 20 years,
mhm,
I'm gonna provide for you. There's a reason that investment you make in taking time to make your son a better person, make your son a better man. I'm gonna
right,
give that back to you. I'm gonna make sure you don't have to struggle again financially, and that you can die with peace with
right,
family.
yeah.
That's just me.
No, yeah, and yeah, we're all different, but there's nothing more fulfilling as well for me than to give. And my big picture goal is, yeah, being able to make a ton of money and then give it all away, right? Or
Yeah,
be able to provide for people that are just in those third world countries that are less fortunate. Like we live in America, we don't see it every day, but $1,000 in another country goes so long. It could save someone's life,
yeah,
families' lives for years.
yeah.
So very much feel called to that, and I kind of had a sense you two were as well. And I've had a few people reach out, wanting to get going with real estate. Had questions about what is creative finance, how does that work? You could buy houses for with no money. How do you do that? So, are you the go-to guy? I want to know where we can get a hold of you if people have questions. How does that work?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram at
Okay.
it's really Alvarez. It's
Okay.
Leo how it spells, no
Okay.
underscores, no nothing. ITSREALLY. Alvarez is ALVAREZ. That's my last name on here. And whether if I don't have the answer for you, I can assure you, I'm pretty sure I will know someone that can have the answer, and I can help you find it.
Or buyers if you're
Yeah.
looking to buy a house.
Yeah. If you're looking to buy a house, yeah, reach out to me. That's easy. That's every day in my operation.
Yeah, this is great. I'm gonna have to have you come on maybe winter time just to help. Maybe we can deep dive a little bit more mindset stuff. But I really appreciate your time. I mean, this is great. I learned a lot. I learn a lot from you, and you're a great leader, a great business owner, and I just see you doing big things. So, um, yeah, I appreciate you. And if anyone has questions about whatever we talked about, I'm here to answer them. Comment down below. I want to help you guys succeed because, I'm a big believer that my success is your success and vice versa. Like I want to help people around me that grow in the group and everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this was great. I want to bring on more people that are outside the reselling niche to be able to just bring different business perspective and
Yeah.
how you kind of got going. And there's a lot of value in that because it's not all just about reselling. You see it with real estate too. It's like bringing people with different perspectives helps. Wow, I never thought of it that way. So I appreciate your mind, and yeah, reach out to Alejandro, everybody. Any last words for anybody that is stuck? Parting words.
You can do it. You can do it. If you believe that you cannot do it, that's your old version fighting to detach yourself from your new version and learn how to redefine things.
Yeah. Love it. Appreciate y'all. Have a blessed weekend. We'll see you in next week's video. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. That was awesome. An hour.